Hello, everyone. I'm Dale.
And I'm Brit.
And this is a toast to the atypical. And this has already started very oddly for us as far as the recording goes here. But yeah, we have just a different setup altogether tonight.
We got new chairs.
We got new chairs.
Everything changed.
We're back in, and if you're watching the podcast, you would have noticed that we've changed locations a few times. The first one was kind of in
issues.
Yeah, apparently so. But we were in my office for work at one point, which is where we're back now. We were at the bar down in our basement for the last
2 episodes.
Yeah,
the first one, the intro we did here.
Yeah, so we got a little more professional with this one. Hopefully, at least we got our headsets on, so hopefully the audio is a little bit better on these next couple recordings here. And we also have a mixture of cameras going on, which is super uncomfortable because we have lights all over in front of us. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture for our Instagram.
So uncomfortable. I've never been more awkward in my life.
So you can see exactly what's going on. We've got lights blasting in our face and 3 cameras pointing at us, and it's an interesting one. But we're comfortable in our chairs. We're going to see how this goes. I think this is a pretty good setup, though. I like it. It's pretty comfortable so far. All right,
works for me.
Anyway, what do we have on draft for tonight? What are you drinking?
I am drinking lemonade White Claw.
So there are no laws, is what you're saying.
Well, this guy doesn't follow any laws, but we'll see. We'll talk about that. This is a variety pack. I have the blood orange with a hint of black raspberry lemonade right now. I feel like this is the second time I've just had like leftovers from a concert, so starting to sense a theme here.
We apparently
but
many concerts. We don't drink enough at the concerts, I guess.
I did find a drink that had to do with our theme today, but we had, I think, one of the 7 ingredients that we needed, and it was just not enough time for me to make it happen.
So we need to hit the liquor store.
This was the closest thing I could find. And you know what I found out about this thing is that he does have claws, so it's somewhat
or
related.
Does he? Depends on the account.
It depends.
It depends on the account.
Like anything in life, it depends.
Yeah. What else are you drinking? Because you have quite the lineup going on over there.
I'm probably a little dehydrated, so I have water, and I also have a kiwi
Propel.
Strawberry Propel.
Propel. See, I'm a lemon Propel guy. I'm an OG.
Well, the kiwi strawberry.
That's what was on clearance.
What's on clearance. So I got a mega pack.
Mega deal.
Plus, these bottles are just awesome. They're huge, and they
are cool.
So helpful for.
They're like
work.
Smart bottle waters. Smart bottle water. Yeah. Did
you just like
I
glitch?
may have just had Smart water bottles. There you go. Water.
It's always water. It's always going to be water.
They spell it wrong on the bottle.
There's no A in water.
No. I have leftovers from the concert as well. It was a Shinedown concert we went to, which was a great concert, by the way. It was. Wasn't sure I was going to be a fan of it, to be honest, but I was a little skeptical.
I always have to like convince you to do these things with me.
But it was supposed to be shitty weather. It was supposed to be rainy.
It was.
And it really was. It was actually a pretty decent day for a concert.
I mean, sitting in the parking lot was pretty rough.
Yeah, it wasn't our usual tailgate either.
Yeah, well.
But it was.
Some of the people who were supposed to come either like couldn't find childcare, and another like came down with the stomach virus like morning of and bailed on us.
Yeah.
So it ended up being not quite our usual gang, but the show was awesome. They sounded fantastic. The lineup or the set list they did was amazing.
Yeah.
And tickets were free. So I mean,
you can't go wrong with free tickets.
We would have been stupid to not go.
Yeah. It was worth it. It was a really
stupid.
good time. They did sound great, and I definitely recognized more songs than I thought I would. It was one of those concerts that I really didn't think I would recognize that much, and then going, I was like, oh, wow, I really do remember a lot of these songs.
I feel like for you, they're not a band that we like put on regularly. Yeah. Like they're not in our usual roundup. So I feel like we don't like listen to them where you would know their songs by name, but they get like a ton of radio play. So
right, they do.
I feel like you knew a lot more just from exposure than you realized. Mm-hmm. And liked a lot more too. So that was good.
Yeah.
I really felt like they put on a great show. They were
they did good.
Really engaging. They played
done good.
They played a lot of their old stuff, and then a decent amount of the new stuff from the new album, which
Planet Zero
was really good. Yeah. Yep.
It was pretty good.
It was. Anywho,
I'd recommend it.
yeah.
Okay. And
back to the task at hand here. Or what are you drinking? Sorry.
So I'm drinking leftovers from the concert as well.
Which is what?
I got a Southern Tier Brewing Company variety pack.
Where is Southern Tier Brewing?
I don't know. It's probably on here
anywhere
somewhere.
Near.
Probably, I would say no, given.
Let's find out. Lakewood, New York. So that's a fat no.
Yeah, that's a hard pass. But, well, I don't know. Because there were some sightings all over the place, but
there was one.
Yeah.
And
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But it is really good variety pack. The alcohol by volume kind of kicks your ass for beers. It's because there's a couple IPAs in here, and my IPA guys will agree that occasionally they kick your ass, but these are tasty ones, so it's worth it. So, yeah. I'm already a couple in, but that's all right. I feel like this is comfy, kicking back a little bit like this. I like it.
Told you it would be.
I wasn't sure how I'd like these chairs.
I know.
But all right.
I know.
Okay,
so what you're saying is what now? What? Do you have something you'd like to direct at me specifically?
Not really.
I think you might.
Are we eating crunchy stuff tonight?
We are. We are. We have two different kinds of
chewy and crunchy
grooves. Yes, we have the hot cheddar Cheez-It grooves and then the ranch ones. I put them both in the same container. Together. It's a really good combination.
They work well
and
together.
Then we had leftover Lifesaver gummies that are just my go-to like snack food all the time.
Yeah, they work well together.
Yeah.
All right. Are you getting used to the whole hearing in your ears thing?
Yeah, I don't mind hearing myself, and there's not like an echo.
There's not a delay, which is nice.
Yeah, that throws me off. I feel like I'm having a stroke if there's a delay of any kind or an echo. Like I can't.
Yeah. So for those of you that aren't watching, we are listening, actually monitoring the audio through our headsets.
Yeah, Dale had a hell of a time with our last episode edit. So,
yeah, our basement with the bars
he pretty
are really
much just
comfortable.
Decided we were gonna change things.
It's a comfortable situation in the basement as far as sitting and video goes, but the big issue is, we have concrete floors, we have corrugated roofing material as part of our walls. For like the lower half of the walls and underneath
basically
our bar.
Like instead of wainscoting we did that
or drywalling the whole thing, so it's pretty echoey down there, so the audio was a nightmare on the past two episodes, so I apologize for that if we blew out your speakers or anything in the last episodes, but hopefully this solves that problem. It seems like, at least from what we're hearing right now and what we're seeing on the computer, everything looks good. But anyway, aside from all that, tonight we're talking about something that apparently I'm really interested in, given the lengthiness of the outline I came up with. I was expecting to get like a couple pages and be stretched to really try to fit timing here, but I wound up with like 10 or 11, I guess 10 pages on my outline. So we're talking about the man, the Moth, the legend. We're talking about the Mothman tonight.
Yes, we are. Today, whenever y'all are listening.
Whenever you're listening, we record at night. We got kids to put to bed. It's 9:00 on Sunday night. So
yeah.
Talking about Mothman. So,
yeah.
But we are Mothman. Brief overview. You said there's claws involved.
One of the descriptions
furry,
I got.
possibly feathery.
Yeah.
So it depends on the accounts.
Yes.
But definitely a winged creature.
Yep.
Spent hundreds of years terrorizing thousands of people throughout the United States, apparently. And the interesting thing, we'll be getting into all this, is they're connected. He's connected
not just
with
the United States either.
Well, yeah, throughout the world.
So,
you're right. Yes.
okay,
So, and that gets into this next one. He is connected to disasters and worldwide issues like
tragedies and traumas,
like pandemics and things like that. So I don't know if this is your note or mine. I guess it's mine because it's in green, of course.
Yeah, if it's on your outline, it's yours.
Okay. Unidentified winged alien-like creature that
Would that make him a UFO?
An unidentified a UWA.
An unidentified what?
Unidentified winged alien. Unidentified flying. I guess he's a
Right,
flying
the
object.
flying object.
Flying
He's a
thing.
UFO.
I guess he is a UFO.
All
I don't know.
right.
So do you want to kick off the first sighting?
Sure.
Take it back.
So we're going back quite a ways here. We are going back to November 12th, 1966. A small town in West Virginia. There were 5 gravediggers who were working in a cemetery, and they saw a massive figure, which they described as a brown human being with wings jumping quickly between treetops. They all described the same thing, all 5 of the men. And they reported it, and 3 days later in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, 2 couples were driving. Or do you have more about the initial first sighting?
So the initial first sighting, I essentially have the same thing.
Okay.
So we're on 3 days later then.
Okay. So 3 days later in Point Pleasant, 2 couples were driving and saw a white winged creature about 6 to 7 feet tall standing in front of their car. According to Roger Scarberry and Steve Mallett, the figure had bright red eyes that were approximately 6 inches apart, a wingspan of 10 feet, and he seemed to attempt to avoid the bright headlights of the car.
Mm-hmm.
According to their report to the Point Pleasant Register, which was a local newspaper, he could fly at approximately 100 miles per hour, but he was a clumsy runner when he was on the ground.
Yeah.
They report that he chased the vehicle to the outskirts of town and then disappeared into a nearby field. Mm-hmm. Reporters in their articles were calling it a bird or a mysterious creature.
Right.
However, Mallett's description of a man with wings was actually printed in one of the reports.
Very specific, right.
And so they basically, one of the gentlemen said, if it had just been him, he was tired, it was late at night, he was like, if it was just me driving alone, like, it could have been anything.
Wouldn't have thought anything of it.
He wouldn't have thought anything of it, but because it was himself, his significant other, and then another couple, and all 4 of them had the exact same reaction at the exact same time to the exact same thing, they decided to report it to the local Point Pleasant Register and alert others, basically, to what was going on.
Right. So in addition to that, again, it was the 2 married couples. Mm-hmm. It was Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallett.
Yeah.
So they were driving through, I don't know if did you say the TNT area?
I didn't get to that yet.
All right. So, all right, we'll be getting into that then, I guess. So the TNT area is, and that'll come up a lot here in these sightings, is there's World War II bunkers in the area, munitions bunkers that are in the area, and they're tied in with a lot of these sightings and a lot of the activity in the area there. But basically, they did see in the headlights the shining red eyes. But the one thing that I wanted to add to this was, and this is jumping ahead a little bit in the timeline, Linda Scarberry saw the Mothman again in like January. In more of a sympathetic setting, in that she looked out her window. It was in January. It was snowing. She looked out the window, and after hearing a loud noise, and she said that she saw the Mothman on the roof of the next building, kind of curled up in its own wings, almost like
a fetal
lost.
Position kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
She said that it almost. It didn't recognize where it was, lost. It was a really cold night. So it was a very strange sighting because it was, she felt sympathetic for the thing. It was just out in the cold, and she seemed like it was.
And this was 2 months after they originally saw him. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. So the other thing to add is that the deputy that Steve and Mary Mallett spoke to is Millard Halstead is his name. and he said, quote, "I've known these kids all their lives. They've never been in any trouble, and they were really scared that night, and I took them very seriously."
Yeah.
He went out to investigate the whole situation and found nothing, but then 2 hours away, the same night, if you want to go into that one, in Salem, West Virginia.
Yep. So, and just to add to what you said about the deputy, he was interviewed on more than one occasion after. He never once wavered.
Stuck to his story.
Even though there was a lot of skepticism around the story that the Scarberries and the Mallets delivered, the deputy never once went back on his word, never said, maybe. Like, he stood by his report and what he collected from them.
Yeah.
He did make note on every occasion that he was not able to come up with any evidence or find anything, but he never once wavered in his belief of them. And like you said, he knew them for their entire lives, and they never messed with anything. They really didn't get in trouble, and he trusted them at their word.
Yeah.
Which I think was probably pretty huge for them.
I think so. Yeah.
I would think that would make you feel good, even though everyone else was probably calling them crazy.
2 hours away.
Yeah. So 2 hours away, in Salem, West Virginia, Newell Partridge heard mysterious sounds outside, followed by a strange pattern that appeared on his TV screen. He shone a flashlight in the direction of the noise outside, and he saw two red eyes that looked like bicycle reflectors. That same night, his dog went missing. So he doesn't know if the dog took off after something and then couldn't find his way back, but this dog had no history of running away or really being much of an outside dog anyway, so he credited it to the Mothman stealing his dog, basically.
So he explained that the way this thing took off after he saw it was that it was sort of, quote, sort of like a helicopter with no sound at all.
Yeah, it just took off straight up.
Yeah, straight up into the air. It spread out its wings and took off straight into the air.
Yep.
What do you have next after this? Because I have next night. Do you have one for the next night?
I have that there was 8 additional sightings within 3 days.
Okay.
Including, these were reported by the Gettysburg Times, the 8 additional sightings. And one of the most...
hold on one second, sorry.
Go ahead.
So just to explain here, and we're referring to each other's outlines, but on this episode, because we know Mothman is huge, there's a ton of stuff in pop culture about it, and there's a ton of information out there about it. We did our own research completely independently. And there's going to be some crossover on our outlines, but we're trying to make sure that we kind of have all the details highlighted. So you'll hear us throughout this, probably asking each other where we're at on their outlines. But go ahead. Sorry.
So the one other bit that I have here is that the Gettysburg Times reported on 8 additional sightings within 3 days. So 3 subsequent newspaper releases in 3 consecutive days included 8 additional sightings. And one of the most significant was from a group of volunteer firefighters. And while they were responding to a call, they described a very large bird with large red eyes. So it definitely seems to be a trend that it's a large bird-like creature, red eyes, like bicycle reflectors,
big, red,
10 feet wingspan. There definitely seems to be some consistency in the descriptions across the board here.
So listen to this one. So this was the next night after the Scarberries and Newell Partridge in Salem. So November 16th, 1966. Marcella Bennett. Did you come across her at all in your research?
I don't believe so. No.
All right. So you would know this story. So this is crazy. So she was in a car with her brother, her sister-in-law, and her baby daughter to go visit friends, Ralph and Virginia Thomas. Now, Ralph and Virginia Thomas lived near the TNT area, where Scarberry and Mallet were chased by the Mothman the night before. So Marcella's brother, Ray, kept saying that he saw some strange light in the sky. Didn't really think anything of it. When they got to their friend's house, their friends were out for the evening, but they hung out for a while, chatted with their friends' kids, and then they started to walk out to their car to leave. So as they were leaving, before they could reach the vehicle, a figure rose behind the car. Marcella described whatever this thing was as being big and gray and larger than a man, with terrible red glowing eyes. She was so terrified by the creature that she dropped her daughter and froze, completely like in a trance, hypnotized by what appeared to be a winged, headless being, is what she said.
Headless, but it had eyes?
Headless. Well, because a lot of what this Mothman is, you don't see a neck. There's no pronounced neck and head.
Oh, okay.
So she said headless. So Ray, her brother, scooped up the little girl who wasn't hurt, thank God, and Marcella and got along his wife and raced back into the house. They quickly threw the door shut, locked it, and this thing starts slamming on their door. And within seconds, they heard the noise on the porch. This thing starts banging on the door.
God.
Then all of a sudden, they broke into a panic. They called the police. Then it just all stops. Police come, investigate, can't find anything. So the only thing that they could explain to the police was that whatever happened was, quote, not of this world, is the way that they were explaining it.
Okay.
Okay. So nights after the fact...
That's awful. Oh, my God.
Bob Bosworth and a friend were on motorcycles in the TNT area. It was a full moon. Mm-hmm. They thought, all right, this is a really cool night to ride. So they turn off their headlights and enjoy riding their motorcycles in the light of the moon. Did you come across this at all?
No, but that's
Possibly.
really stupid.
It is stupid, but I get the draw of it being nice and being able to
I agree. Headlights are there for a reason.
So they drove by a power plant in the area and noticed what seemed like two big glowing eyes at the top of a building. There's a lot of lights around the power plant, so whatever. But they looked up, or they pulled over to check it out, because they heard of this Mothman stuff, and they looked up and they still saw the eyes. So they went into the building and started to climb the stairs to see what it was.
Absolutely not.
I agree. No chance.
Turn my headlight on and whoop.
Exactly.
U-turn. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
They noticed a large figure standing in the dark. They can only see the outline. And as they stopped...
Inside the building?
Inside the building. And as they... so I'm thinking like, all right, crackhead. For sure.
Immediately
crackhead.
What kind of drag is hanging out?
Yeah, right?
Hallway.
Yeah. So they can only see the outline of it, but as they stopped walking, the figure started walking toward them. It only stopped when it came to the edge of the shadow that it was in. Then it stood there staring at them. Bob said that it had tapered wings like a robin, no neck, a large head on its shoulders. And then it slowly turned and started walking away, and then they heard sounds of wings flapping, and it disappeared into the darkness. Very Batman-esque into the alley.
But it was inside a building.
Well, they were going up the steps of a building, yes, in a power plant. Listen, I don't know.
No roof on
I'm just telling you what I read, all right? I didn't believe this one either. This was definitely like a two guys out for a joyride, wanted to have a good time, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like
in my mind. Yeah.
We turned off their headlights and turned up something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
By that one.
Yeah. So, and then there was another silly one. I mean, 10 days after the original sighting, a guy named Tom Urey was driving his convertible. He had to throw in there. He was driving his convertible, of course. Driving on Route 62. And he noticed a gray man-like figure standing in a field, very Jeepers Creepers-esque in my mind. And it launched into the air. I don't know. I always thought Jeepers Creepers was based off of the Jersey
Devil. So I feel like there is some overlap between
there probably is.
A lot of this.
There probably is.
I think the Jersey Devil and Mothman are probably the same
very much could
being,
be. Yeah.
Just different areas of the world.
So it launched into the air and flew straight up and over the car. It circled the car. He tried to outrun it but couldn't, and the only time that it stopped was when he was getting closer to the city. He said the wingspan of it was 12 to 15 feet across.
These are becoming larger every story.
So everything that I was reading said that it was about a 12. Like the average I was seeing was about a 12-foot wingspan.
I saw like 6 to 7, then I saw 10, then I saw 12, then I saw 15.
I saw 6 to 7 feet high.
Yeah.
And then about a 12-foot wingspan.
Interesting.
Right. Okay. So.
Okay.
Then. Do you want to talk about December 15th?
Sure. So, back to Point Pleasant. December 15th, 1967. So this is 13 months after the original first sighting. There was heavy traffic on the Silver Bridge, which was built in 1928 to connect Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio.
Great pronunciation of that.
Is that correct?
I have no idea.
It sounded right to me.
Sure.
It looks right. Shut up. So when the bridge was originally built in 1928, the cars were considerably lighter. So if you look at the Model T from, 1928, it was roughly 1,500 pounds. So by the time 1967 rolls around, the average car is about 4,000 pounds.
Okay.
So when the bridge was originally built, the expected strain on it was considerably lower. So the way that it was built, there was little redundancy. So if one part of the bridge failed, there was really nothing in place to prevent other portions from falling and failing additionally.
Right.
So during this heavy traffic on Silver Bridge, a single eye bar cracked, which caused the chain to snap and the whole bridge collapsed. Cars and pedestrians were plunged into the Ohio River, and a total of 46 people died by either drowning or they were crushed by debris. Right. So because this is the same area and because there was a lot of chaos surrounding the situation, it was hard to get a good bit of eyewitness reports because there were so many casualties. But there were some reports of like a premonition type of people were saying that they got like eerie, ominous feelings, or that they had seen like a shadowy figure quickly behind them or off to the side. And this is where it starts to kind of to take shape that the Mothman is a harbinger of doom or potentially a cause of doom. So the question becomes...
more in the theory, like when we're talking about our theories on this.
So this is when people really started to question, like, is he just one of those things where, like, danger follows him, or is he causing the peril?
The danger, or
I am the one who knocks.
Good reference. I like it. Good reference.
Good. You got something to add to that?
No, just that it seems like if you look up Mothman, it seems like there's so many sightings. And if you look at the dates, the majority of them were basically a 13-month span.
Yes.
From
that original
the 13 months before the bridge collapsed.
Right. So from November 12th, 1966
to 67
to December 15th, 1967
That's
was
the
vast majority, and it was for the most part in West Virginia.
Right. So it's not. Did you have anything else on that?
Nope.
All right.
No,
so it's not just in West Virginia that there's been sightings
in that time frame. It was
right. Yeah. So if you jump ahead and you can jump in on dates if you need to, we're trying to kind of keep this chronologically correct, but we will jump around. Yeah, it's hard because we want to hit some of the big ones, but I think this one's pretty good. So in August of 2011, a man and woman are traveling through Chicago. And he wanted to show her the town. So he wound up taking some pictures of the town with her and whatever. After the fact of looking at his photos that he took, he noticed that there was something off in a photo. And he thinks that it was Mothman. So I'll put the photo up here in the video. If you don't, I mean, if you're just listening to this, we'll probably have the photo on our Instagram or something. I don't know. We got to sort out how we're going to put that through for just the listeners. But
and I think we're also going to do a
Facebook page too. We'll talk more about that at the end here. But yeah. So the photo, I don't know if you took a look at this. It is 1,000,000% photoshopped.
Oh, absolutely.
It's 1,000,000%. It's basically a blurry photo
of a bat that they flipped around.
It
looks like a sleeping bat that was hanging upside down, and they cut it out of the photo that they originally came from, flipped it 180, and then just stuck it in here.
And it looks like the power lines that apparently this bat is on look like they were done in like paint.
Oh yeah.
It's a terrible.
It just look like
it had to be a joke. Like this had to be a joke. But I mean, you can wherever the photo is here, you can see it. And then we'll.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. Yeah. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a shitty Photoshop job. Yeah, it's so bad.
It's Microsoft.
So bad. So I thought that one was good. And then there was another one, again, jumping ahead a few years, in Charleston, West Virginia. A news station actually published a photo of quote-unquote Mothman that was captured by somebody. And this was explained off as being an owl or a bird. But I don't know if you saw this one.
I did.
This one, and I can see it. What they say is it's an owl or a bird carrying a frog or a snake away because there's wings. And I'll show again if it's not up already. So you can see it here, but the picture is at night. So it's a silhouette essentially of a winged figure with very long legs compared to what the wings are.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you're looking at it, now that I'm thinking about it, if that were to be one whole figure, that wingspan's not big enough, I think, to
so that was
good,
what I was going to say. Number one, those definitely look like frog legs. Like, they're floppy little, like, rubbery looking things.
Yeah, like Jeff Foxworthy style legs.
What? I don't know what Jeff Foxworthy...
My blue-collar comedy's where people
I don't know what his
understand
legs look like. But yes, I agree. The wingspan is entirely too small to support that body.
Size matters.
So, you're an idiot. My question is, was this like a sighting by the actual, like by somebody at the news station, or was this something that was sent into them?
This was sent in, and I believe it was sent in anonymously.
So that's I'm immediately suspicious. I don't trust anybody as it is. But my question would be like, there is absolutely nothing in this photo to give you any kind of idea of like, I don't know the word.
No, I'm hearing what you're saying. The face I just made a face, and it was just because I think my phone went off.
Yeah, I heard it too.
I don't know.
But no, like, you know when you're looking at something and like somebody puts their hand next to it to show you like scale. There's no point of reference. Thank you.
I got you. There's no point of there's no point of reference.
There's absolutely
you can
nothing.
Call the trees a point of reference.
Is that a tree?
It's a tree behind it.
Okay,
but you can definitely tell.
But I mean, you can't tell how close it is to the tree to determine size either. Like, it's really hard to...
With my limited avian knowledge... Avian? Yeah, avian. That's the word, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
With my limited avian knowledge, this very much looks like an
owl.
An owl with a snake in its talons.
You think a snake?
It can't be a frog.
I guess he could be like holding it by the middle. It can't be a frog, because
that frog would have to be gigantic.
That frog would be huge. All right, good point.
So that's got to be, it got to be a snake.
Yeah, that's a pretty fat snake, though.
In my professional opinion, you heard it here. In my professional opinion,
there's probably family listening to this. Sorry, Mom.
In my professional opinion, that's a snake.
Professional?
Yeah.
Who decided that?
Just now,
oh,
me.
Okay. You buy an authority.
Bibliography? Bibliography?
What?
Bibliography? Is that what you do at the end of a project?
Yeah.
Yeah, bibliography.
You're just citing yourself.
Me.
Okay. All right.
2019. Do you have anything before 2019?
I have several.
Is this all me?
I have a good bit. I have so I'm gonna go back a little bit here.
Go through one. And then we're going to break real quick for a drink refill.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to 2007.
Oh, snap. You're going before mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I also have something from 1986, 1978, and 2009, and another 2011. So
Jeez.
I'll start.
All right.
Well, because I feel like the 1986 one will
just
probably...
turn my computer off right now. We're good.
So
got Moth Woman over here.
In August of 2007, the I-35 West Bridge in Minnesota collapsed.
Minnesota, eh?
Minnesota. And there were multiple sightings by people who were on or near the bridge at the time of the collapse. And everyone described very, very similar accounts of a moth-like creature, larger than life man with wings, red eyes, very, very consistent with the previous descriptions. Sightings. Okay. Yep, exactly. So there's one other one, though, that I want to touch on just because it's super quick. So in 1978, September 10th, 1978, in Freiburg, Germany, there was a group of miners who, M-I-N-E-R-S, not youth, not O-Rs. So
busted.
The
Utes.
So there was a Mothman-like creature that was sighted, and it was so terrifying that the miners ran away right before a mine collapsed, where they were supposed to have been working.
And where was this?
This was in Freiburg, Germany.
Germany.
So other side of the world.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the Germans felt like he was more of a protector.
Okay.
And they viewed it as more of like a premonition or a harbinger of doom rather than a cause of doom.
Right.
So they basically were like they felt as if it was a warning to them.
I didn't come across that one. That's cool. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So you want to take a minute there? Or do you want me to... The other ones that I have are like kind of short, just like additional
let's
believers.
Kick them, let's take them. Go ahead.
So continuing, I'm going to backpedal one more minute, and then I'll go again chronologically. So there is some believers tie Mothman to the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. Mm-hmm. Now, I couldn't find a whole ton of specific information about exact sightings or support for that, or if it's just like the people who, supported the Mothman theory and legend kind of use that as an explanation for Chernobyl.
Okay.
So I don't have anything additional on that. I wish I did, but I don't. And then I also have that people connected it to the Mexican swine flu from 2009.
So I have a lot of detail on that one.
Okay.
So the swine flu one, if I can jump in.
Yeah, go right ahead.
On the, you know what?
I didn't mean to go that far, actually.
Yeah. So you know what? We'll hit that one. We'll use
that as
a
break.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll hit that one after the break. But go ahead on the other ones.
Do you have anything regarding 9/11?
No, because I shouldn't have, but I put my own bias on that one, and they were all very much after the fact accounts that I heard.
After the fact meaning what?
Meaning
how far after the fact?
Like after 9/11 happened, then people saying, oh, well, on the 9th, I thought I saw Mothman. On the 10th, like it wasn't like a people reported on the 2nd of the month that I don't know. It's just everything that I read.
See what you're saying.
It came up well after the fact.
Okay.
So I kind of discounted all of that.
Okay.
But yeah, that was something that I was going to talk about. But go ahead. Go ahead. Jump into it.
Basically, I agree with you. So I tried not to include too much of the hindsight is 2020 kind of
exactly,
things.
And that's what I was running into with those ones.
But there were 2 pictures taken in New York on 9/11 that contained Mothman sightings.
Do you have those pictures?
I do. I will include
so
them.
We're going to put picture number 1 up. Or do you have stories with those? Or details
I
with them?
don't.
All right, so we'll put the first picture up right now.
Yep.
And so it was 2 separate ones.
2 separate
on the
photos.
Same day.
Yep, on the same day.
On September 11th.
On September 11th. Yep, it was 2 separate.
Before or after?
During. Basically, the photo
and here's
looks...
the second picture.
So you can see... for those of you not looking at it or watching it, you can see smoke billowing in the background, and then you can see what looks like... To me, it looks like a gigantic crane.
No, I didn't look at
now,
this
the thing
picture.
that is confusing to me is that the crane is, pretty long-necked, where every other thing that we've been reading about Mothman is that he has no neck. But there are 2 photos at 2 different angles of Mothman essentially flying away from the towers.
Are your pictures in the outline?
No.
Okay.
I have them, though. I can,
all right,
I can
yeah,
show you.
because I am very interested. So they're not in the smoke. Like, I know after there were people saying they could see the face of a demon in the smoke and things.
No, that was different. So I'll show you here. That is...
You know what? I did see that one as I was going through.
So you can see the smoke in the background there. And
I would have to... I don't know if anybody has any knowledge of Photoshop or if they could look into something like that. I don't know. I just feel like that would be stuff that would be... There was so much footage, news footage.
Yeah.
So I feel like anything on the day of would be fake.
I mean, depending on...
I guess we're not here, at this point, at least, to say whether things are fake or not.
Correct. But we're also here to deliver both sides of information relatively unbiased. Now, when 9/11 happened, there was a lot more internet accessibility, obviously, than there was in...
Thank you, Al Gore.
1967. Anyway, in 2001, people knew what Photoshop was. People knew what different things were and how to create hoaxes in a much more accessible way than in 1966, 67.
We're just going to keep going. We're not going to take a break. I'm just going to get my fat ass up and I'm going to get my drink.
Okay.
So you keep going.
And so I guess my question is, like, how do you know that it's not just a bird that flew by as some reporter was taking a photo and the bird happened to be significantly closer to the camera than...
So that's part of what I was getting at with my stuff too.
Yeah. And I also think that sorry, not to cut you off, but I also think that, like, the photos and the technology, I mean, now obviously 20 years later, it's significantly better than it was even in 2001.
Yeah.
But if you're looking back at that, images were capturing, like, if you were taking a photo in the 1960s, 1970s, even 1980s, the chances of getting a bird or a passing creature when that's not your intended focus were much less. Like, what you would see in a background of a photo was a lot more blurry and a lot less noticeable than in 2001.
Yep.
Where if you're taking a picture of a building that's collapsing and there's smoke everywhere, you're probably going to get a lot more crisp background images than you would have previously. So
I get that.
Yeah, maybe it was Mothman.
Maybe.
We don't know. We weren't there.
Yeah.
But I guess it could have been. And the one other tie that I found was that Mothman has also been tied to the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011.
Yes. Okay.
That's it for the in-between that I have.
Okay. So if you want to jump into disasters, because I did have a separate section in my
That's what I wasn't sure about the
yeah, so that's it for kind of the sightings. Look, there's been hundreds, if not thousands of sightings, but we wanted to focus on kind of those first 13 months because that's really when this whole Mothman thing blew up.
Yeah.
So disasters that I came up with.
He really took off.
He really took off. Wow. That's punny. That's funny. So, see, that's what I like about this. That's what I like about this. So, Britt just took a bite of one of our crunchy snacks, and you can hear it in the mic. So she pushed the mic away, and see that? Yeah, it's great now because you can see yourself in the.
Is that great though?
It is.
I don't love it.
It is.
I'm not a fan.
I am. So,
I got a face for radio, babe. I don't need to be seen. Yeah, it's okay.
I disagree. Anyway. Disasters.
You got a little something right there on your nose.
That's all right. Disasters connected to Mothman. So there's been theory that he doesn't cause, but he predicts disasters. So the Harbinger of Doom, which you touched on, and again, we'll talk a little bit deeper in it, I guess, on the theories and our own thoughts of it. But there was the December 15th, 1967 Silver Bridge collapse. 46 people killed, 13 injured. There was a bunch of sightings.
I find that number to be baffling. The 46 people died, but only 13 additional were injured.
Why?
Because I feel like if an entire bridge collapsed, more than 13 people should have, maybe gotten hurt.
I feel like it can't be that big of a bridge, though. Plus, how many people are on a bridge at one time?
Well, that's the problem, is there were too freaking many.
Right, but maybe there was 13 too many. I don't know.
Or 59 too many.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, that's what the numbers were. Between September 2nd, 2001 and September 10th, 2001, there were some people reporting seeing bird-like figures. Again, a lot of what I saw was that this was after the fact, people saying, oh, I saw what I thought was Mothman. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now...
How do you not think something of it?
Right. If I would have seen something glowing with glowing red eyes, I would be like, WT fucking hell is that? And I would have reported something probably to somebody. I would have texted somebody. Been like, dude, you don't believe what I just saw. Anyway. So the pandemic you touched on.
Swine flu?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't just randomly throw a pandemic out there because we're still technically in COVID. But
bird flu, swine flu.
Whatever. Monkeypox.
Green jacket, gold jacket.
Gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit?
I'm just full of movie references.
You are killing it. And none of them have been Forrest Gump yet. Yet is the key.
Wait for it.
All right.
I think I did reference somebody named Jenny later, though.
Jenny?
Oh. No, I'm just messing with you. I didn't. There's no Jenny.
No Jenny Green Teeth in this episode?
No.
So the pandemic
Jenny Curran either.
Is La Junta, Chihuahua, Mexico. Is that how you call it? Or how you say it?
I have no idea.
There's a town that's close to... Oh my God, I forget the name of the town. I don't have it in here. Where swine flu was actually found to have originated. Can you look that up real quick?
I am.
Just it comes up pretty quick. If you just type in where did swine
Sierra
flu
Madre?
originate? No. Where did swine flu originate? 2009. So the residents then said that they cited and actually that they were attacked by or chased by Mothman. And then it was found that this swine flu pandemic in 2009 is where all of this started. The town that all of this was cited in was not far from where swine flu was originated in 2009, which was
Veracruz, Mexico.
Veracruz, Mexico. Yeah, so it's not too far. So there were like 30 sightings there. Then there's a bunch of sightings in Chicago area near the airport. But I guess one of the other big things, cool things with Mothman is Point Pleasant, which we just learned some cool details about this. If you want to talk about the thing that started last night in Point Pleasant.
Yeah. So Point Pleasant being the, origin story of Mothman.
The OG
Point Pleasant
Mothman.
really embraces this being their claim to fame. They freaking love it. So not only
because it's killing their tourism money is like double what their annual.
So they have absolutely capitalized on this like a million bajillion times over. So bajillion.
It's a big number.
Yep.
Get it.
Oh, you weren't even looking at the doctor.
You gotta look there for that.
Well, whatever. They can see me. I did it. Whatever. Shut up. So, Anyway, so there's a Mothman museum in Point Pleasant, which was opened in 2006 by Jeff Wamsley. He is a Point Pleasant native who grew up listening to the stories because his father worked at the National Guard Armory. He has also released 2 books on the subject through the printing company Mothman Press. First one being Mothman, Facts Behind the Legend in 2001. And then Mothman, Behind the Red Eyes in 2005. So there's... At the museum, you can find a 12-foot tall chrome-polished statue with red eyes and steel wings, rare archives all about Mothman, the mysterious happenings occurring specifically in Point Pleasant between 1966 and 1967.
Can we pause for 1 second?
Sure. What's up?
What did you say this guy's name was?
Jeff Wamsley?
I'm just catching this now, and I feel like I need to go back and look at this.
What's up?
Marcella Bennett's brother-in-law's name is Ray Wamsley.
Interesting.
So is Jeff Wamsley...
Is Ray his dad? Is he the National Guard Armory dude? Maybe this is her nephew or something.
I need to look into that, and we're going to need to add something in, I guess.
Wow.
Wow, okay. I was going to say, when you said that name, and I read that name previously, because it came up in my research as well, but when you said it, I was like, wait, that name sounds really familiar. Yeah, Ray Wamsley is Marcella Bennett. That's the one on November 16th of 66.
I heard you say Ray, but I didn't catch the last name.
Yeah, with the daughter.
The one who picked up the daughter and she dropped him.
Interesting. Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry to
cut
you off.
No, that's
okay.
But
that was strange.
That was an interesting little connection, maybe. I feel like Point Pleasant, like, they seem like lifers.
They seem like lifers, and I feel like if you're in a town that small, I don't know, maybe Wamsley's a
I don't know,
common
maybe it's like
name.
Smith out there.
Right. Go ahead.
So, yeah, so you can find archives and mysterious happenings and reports that basically only pertain to Point Pleasant. So they're a little more specific about what they'll include in the Mothman Museum specifically. But there's the original press clippings, video footage of the Silver Bridge disaster. There's reported UFO activity, Mothman articles, and you can access all of this at the museum.
And I'll get into a little bit of the UFO activity.
Yeah.
In a couple minutes.
So there's also a merchandise store, which they have a website too. We'll include it because it's pretty awesome.
Do you have any idea how far this is from us?
It's in West Virginia.
I know, but do you hour-wise? Do you know
I don't.
We'll have to look that up.
We'll have to. This would be so much fun. Yeah. So the merchandise store is filled with Mothman souvenirs, your typical souvenir stuff: T-shirts, hoodies, novelties, keychains, like tote bags, books,
Christmas
stickers,
ornaments. Hopefully,
I hope so. We collect Christmas ornaments.
That would be
a
cool one.
That would be an awesome one.
That'd be pretty cool.
Shot glass. Oh my god, a Mothman baseball hat. I would wear a Mothman hat every day.
Sorry, if there's shot glasses, we need to get one for Brian and Christine.
Yes, we do. Stickers, buttons, all your usual stuff. Basically, if you can think of it, they probably have it there. There are rare handwritten police reports from the original Mothman eyewitness statements documenting what they experienced. This is the cool thing too. So there is a prop collection from the Mothman Prophecies movie. So they have real props and just collectibles that were used in the film that they now have on display at the museum.
Okay.
They have a lifelike costume and replica. It's, perfect for photo opportunities.
Nice.
It's located right next to the infamous Mothman statue.
Which is fantastic.
And you can also watch the documentary called Search for the Mothman while you're there.
Cool.
There's exhibits on John Keel, who I'll get into in a moment. Mm-hmm. Mary Hyre, the Silver Bridge, and even the Men in Black.
Yes. And there's going to be a whole episode on them.
Yes, absolutely.
But
so
Will Smith's going to be joining us as well.
Oh my God. We are local.
If Jada Pinkett will let him.
Okay. Anyway, so right next to the Mothman Museum, every year, the third weekend in September, they host a Mothman festival. It's my dream. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. So we're recording on Sunday the 18th. So this just started 2 nights ago. They have everything. Attractions, vendors, food trucks, Mothman-shaped funnel cakes, Mothman-shaped cookies, people that put, like, paintings, spray paint art, glass blown, and, like, literally any kind of art that you could make look like a Mothman, they've got it there.
That's cool.
Clothing, figurines. They have cool. Mothman beard balm. I was gonna surprise you and order it from their website, but
that would have been.
It's cool. Only at the festival. It's not on the Mothman Museum website yet. Okay. So I'll see if I can find it. I'm gonna keep digging. But people go absolutely bananas for this. They show up in like full cosplay, Ghostbusters, Men in Black, Star Wars, Mothman, like everything. They have guest speakers every year. They do a full bus tour of the TNT area. And they have live music.
So they are just 1,000,000% capitalizing on these
absolutely.
Things.
They
so that
love
right
it.
there brings a lot of skepticism to me of it. How many of these newer sightings are real?
I mean, it's 60 years after the fact. I mean, so here's a really cool part. There's a Mothman app that you can get on your phone.
Tell me about it.
I didn't download it yet, but it's a direct thing. Like when you pull up the Mothman Festival website, there's this humongous like moth silhouette, and it says Mothman app. So my guess is
it sightings? Is it?
So I think it's to like walk you through like the festival and like what you can see.
Oh, okay, that would make sense. Because I'm in my mind, in my idiot mind, I'm thinking like.
Yeah, but. What, like, you can...
It'll give you a map of the sightings.
Yeah.
Can you, like...
Oh, my God. What if it's, like, a,
Can you contact
like
Mothman?
a geode tour?
Can you contact Mothman using
I don't know.
Like, Nextel?
Is it like Batman? Send up the bat
signal. Hey, Mothman, what you up to?
Send up the moth signal. So, the person who created the Mothman app is Jeff Wamsley, the same guy who created or opened the museum.
My guy's got his name in a lot of places.
Yeah, he's got his hands in the cookie jar here.
What's up with him?
So this, I just downloaded it because I have to now. That's terrifying.
I love it.
So there's the museum, the festival, Mothman story, live moth cam.
Because so that's a
Mothman escape room.
So the Mothman cam, I could be confusing this with some of the research that I've done on the Denver International Airport, which will be an episode as well.
Okay.
But I believe there's a 24/7 webcam on the Mothman statue. So you can just like log in and watch Mothman statue.
And
see who's there. Apparently the Mothman statue got a thick booty. This is like a common thing. If you look it up, apparently he got a big booty.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. I feel like he would be like if you stood up a frog and just like.
No, see, I don't. Well, yeah, because he can't walk apparently, right?
Yeah, I would assume he's got like these flimsy little rubber legs.
He got some cheeks.
He got cake.
Yeah, apparently. Cake. I don't know. All right, is that what we got on the festival?
That's what I got. But the Mothman app is the museum app, so you can see everything there is to see about the museum, the festival, the backstory, live moth cam updates. They're bringing an escape room to the museum.
That's cool. We love escape rooms.
And then sister stores. So there's something called Bunker 304, which...
Is that like one of the bunkers that he was sighted at, maybe?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably like the TNT
yeah, that's
area,
what I mean. That's got to be...
or other.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
That's cool.
So...
All right. So that's the festival.
Yeah, that's the festival in the museum. Yep.
Okay. So do you have anything else?
I have one other bit that I didn't talk about, but it has
Give me the topic.
A recent sighting.
And
then I also wanted to talk about the book and the movie.
So we're going into pop culture in a minute. So
okay.
Yeah.
So the last sighting was in 2016. The last one that I could find documented.
Okay.
So a new resident of Point Pleasant, brand new, had just moved there.
Hold on. I'm instantly skeptical. This guy just wants friends in the area. He wants to join the club of, oh yeah, me and Mothman hang. Yeah. So no, I'm instantly not true. But go ahead, proceed.
Yeah, I'm immediately no. Yeah. He spotted a mysterious creature jumping between trees. When
flying squirrel.
When he reported it, he claimed to be unaware of the local legend of the Mothman until he spotted it for himself and did some research.
Can I just...
And I also couldn't find anything about his name. So, like, apparently he was so embarrassed. He was like, no, don't print my name.
I'm going to throw the bullshit flag on that one.
Yeah. While you're doing that, since I'm actually terrified to get up and knock all
There's
of
a
that
lot of
down,
stuff going on
There's
here.
a lot happening. Can you get me another drink?
Yeah, I'll grab you a drink.
Thank you.
Which kind do you want?
I don't care.
You got...
I had blood orange. I felt like blood made sense to start with. The Mothman.
But he hasn't ever killed anybody. That's not what I know of.
I mean, he might have killed that dog.
Oh, shit.
The dog always dies in the movie. Damn. Poor Fido.
True. All right. Why don't you start then
with the book and the movie?
Yeah, start talking about the book. So we'll jump into pop culture real quick.
Did you want to talk about like theories and like what people have?
Let's do pop culture first.
Okay.
So jump into your pop culture section.
All right,
you start with the book. I'm going to get you a drink.
Thank you. So earlier I mentioned John Keel being one of the guest speakers and one of the featured exhibits at the Mothman Museum. John Keel is an author who wrote the book, The Mothman Prophecies, in 1975. His book includes sightings, the bridge collapse, and even UFO activity, which I'll let Dale kind of get into that section. In 2002, there was a movie that was made based on the book with Richard Gere, starring as a reporter whose wife witnessed the Mothman before her death. Several years later, he finds himself in Point Pleasant with no recollection of how he got there. Mm-hmm. Several locals in the town experience premonitions of distant disasters that are often precipitated by sightings of the Mothman. The movie got mixed reviews from critics, mainly because there was spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, it's been 20 years. Like, get it together. Anyway, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it and are going to, maybe, like, I don't know, turn this off or, get with the times. There's essentially no conclusion. It's a very disjointed ending.
See, this is where I had a problem with the movie because I was just saying to you the other night, I confuse. So have you ever gotten this situation of like you mesh two movies together and you're like, oh, I'm not sure which one's which.
Maybe this is a Mandela effect.
For me, this is I have somehow mentally blended together Mothman Prophecies and the Butterfly Effect.
So what you described to me the other night, though, I don't remember being in the Butterfly Effect. So
maybe there's a third movie in this mental mesh.
I also haven't seen Mothman in a very long time. So
we need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Which we probably should have done prior to this, but
the kids wanted to watch Lilo and Stitch, so
Lilo and Stitch definitely takes precedent over Mothman Prophecies.
Yeah.
However, go ahead.
Anyway,
finish with your pop culture. Good.
The movie really solidified and really popularized the legend of Mothman as a harbinger of doom. Mm-hmm. So in the movie, there's not much. It really does solidify his status as a legend, as a more of a prophet. I mean, is the best way to put it, and a predictor, and more of a, I guess savior would be the best word, but he basically appears before some type of disaster, either predicting it or trying to save people and lead people away from it. So the idea of him being a harbinger of doom really came to fruition more so after the movie. But that's what I got for that.
Right. So he shows up in a ton of pop culture.
Yep.
Some of the quick ones that I have here are Mothman Prophecies, which we just talked about, 2002 film. Mm-hmm. He was in an X-Files episode because X-Files. He was in an episode of Monster Quest, which is a fantastic show, by the way. Mothman, a Sci-Fi Channel original film. I always feel like it's probably pretty bad if it's a channel originating. Yeah, I always feel like it's kind of rough. So I didn't watch that one, but I feel like we should. That was in 2010. Eyes of Mothman in 2011, which is a documentary about the sightings, and Mothman Country, which is also a documentary about the Point Pleasant's relationship with Mothman. So just to kind of, and this is kind of taking it back an hour now, but my work schedule lends its hand to me watching and kind of listening to documentaries and things like that. Brit's schedule is more, she's able, you've been doing more online research at night, things like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of, that's kind of where our outlines come from. I did a little more research based on podcasts I listened to and documentaries that I watched. And she was doing more of the online research, which is much more cumbersome, to be honest with you. So I'm glad I'm not doing that. But
I find it, so I think part of the problem is like...
You're a reader, though.
I am, to a certain extent.
I like pictures.
But I can listen to a podcast or an audiobook, like, while I'm driving.
Yeah.
The problem becomes then taking notes.
Right.
Because most of the time that I have to listen to that stuff or to watch anything, I am driving.
Right.
So I can't do things like during the workday like you can.
Right.
So when I'm sitting down after the kids go to bed or whatever, I can very easily pull up my computer and
Right.
just check things out there and have a separate tab open with my outline.
So that's just giving kind of, and we probably should have done that in the beginning.
And that's really going to be the structure that we try to follow from here on out is, web-based information and more text-based information coming from my side. Dale doing his independent research, mainly from just different sources, mostly podcast, documentaries, whatever you can kind of get your hands on or listen or watch. And then we'll just sort of pad each other's bits of information along the way.
Yeah. All right. So we went through history, sightings, pop culture. We're at about an hour now.
Yep.
Let's jump into some theories.
Yep. So go ahead. You just begin. And
The first one I have on my outline of yours was Robert Smith.
Yeah. So are you talking more like theories as far as like explanations for the situation, or
let's do explanations, theories.
Okay.
Let's try and go.
I feel
through
like they kind of
deal.
blend. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So
So you start with Bob Smith.
Yeah.
Bobby boy.
Bobby. Dr. Robert L. Smith.
Oh, Dr. Robert Smith. It seems fake, but go ahead.
He's an associate professor of wildlife biology at West Virginia University. His expert opinion is that the Mothman could very potentially be a sandhill crane. A crane is, on average, as tall as a normal human man.
Right.
And most significantly, there is red flesh around the eyes of a sandhill crane.
Right.
That, like, we're talking bright red.
Right.
It is not just like a little pinky.
I'll actually put up, I don't have it in my outline, but I'll put up a picture of a sandhill crane right now. And what I found about the sandhill crane,
I think I probably have the same thing.
That they're only about 3 to 4 feet in height.
That's not what this doctor says.
The wingspan is 6 to 7 feet.
So not even close. It's like half the size. Okay.
Than what the Mothman is apparently.
Okay. So then I guess Dr. Smith's explanation is that the crane potentially came from the TNT area and that he was like radioactive.
Yes.
I mean, I
don't
think he's Spider-Man, but
but so the theory that I came across that meshes these two.
Yep.
Is. So wait, real quick. The other theory
I think I have
that I don't think Dr. Smith said was that it could be a great horned owl, which has come up a couple times.
An owl?
Yes, because
How
of the
big is a great horned owl?
So that's the other thing. A great horned owl is only 2 feet high, and they have about a 6 foot wingspan. But what's different about them?
A 6 foot wingspan?
Right, but what's different about a grouse?
No,
listen. So what's different though? Yeah, they're huge. So just to back this up, Brit is terrified of birds. Anything beaked, except for baby ducks,
are Yeah, but that's not really. I don't like a pointy beak.
Right.
Like a little flat dude is all right, but I don't even really like. I don't really like ducks.
Owls, apparently, I don't know about all owls, but a great horned owl.
Shit terrifying.
If you shine a light at its eyes, they're red. So that's where this theory of great horned
like
owl.
when you shine a light at a dog and they're like that bluish, they would be
big.
red instead.
So owls' eyes are big, yes, and they're red.
But are they like? I mean, so everything that I read, yes, it did say that they reflected like that, which would make sense. My question is, every single person said that he had huge, glaring red eyes.
Right.
But if they were huge for a 2-foot owl, I feel like that's not also huge for a 7-foot creature.
I agree. So
I feel like
there's
what
a problem
would look
with this
enormous on an owl would look like average.
This
on
could be
a 6 to
perception.
7
This
foot.
could be fear. I know a lot of people blow things out of proportion when they replay it back in their mind.
Right. Well, that's exactly why eyewitness statements at crime scenes are not reliable because people are crazy.
So the one theory that I read that took this a step further, and I don't think that you saw this one, I could be wrong, is that, and you said this is like some mutated animal potentially.
I think I do have where you're going.
There's apparently a theory that this is a government cover-up. And there's always a theory that there's some sort of government cover-up.
That's because there are government cover-ups.
Yes.
In everything.
So the theory goes that that this has all been seen kind of mostly, at least in the first 13 months, in this TNT area.
Yeah.
And the TNT area has a bunch of munitions silos, which are underground bunkers. So the theory is that the military researchers left an unfinished project in the silos, which turned out to be a creature that they were working on as a weapon of some sort. And it broke free and terrorized the town. Then after the bridge collapsed, the military came in, and this is fact. After the bridge collapsed, the military came in, quarantined a bunch of the area around the silo, or around the bunkers, in the woods. And then after those 13 months, when it was quarantined, Mothman really wasn't heard of much again. So the theory is that the government covered it up, put a big hush-hush on everything, and now they're kind of like poo-pooing any other sightings that there are.
So how did the quarantine make him go away?
Well, the quarantine, you don't know what happened during the quarantine. Maybe they recaptured him. Maybe they did some other sort of experiment on him. You don't know what happened.
They would have had to capture him on land then, because like obviously he couldn't run.
Right, he runs goofy as fuck. Runs like Forrest Gump.
Nah, Forrest was fast, man.
Not when he had them shit on his legs.
He ran out of them. He was so damn strong.
No,
you don't talk about Forrest.
My man's a bull.
You don't talk about Forrest like that.
All right. So that's theory number one. Theory number two. You have something about a prank in here.
So I have a little bit more about Dr. Smith's theory. So Dr. Smith's theory, again, he thinks
feeling this one's going to be a long one because it's already been an hour.
No. Oh, I thought you meant this theory.
No. Go
so
ahead.
he says that the Sandhill crane potentially came from the TNT area where the nearby bunkers were used for manufacturing munitions during World War II.
Right.
His theory is that there were leaked toxic materials into the neighboring wildlife preserve, which potentially affected the nearby animals.
Morphed, if you will.
Like the duck phone.
Like the duck phone. Jersey Shore. We're
Shout
trash.
Out, Snooki.
We're garbage people. We're trash.
I don't care. I have no shame.
No.
Yeah, so, he basically was like, it's a crane.
It's a crane, a mutated crane. Yeah. Some sort of fucking crazy crane. Okay.
So the second theory that I have is that this was all just some big prank, which, I mean, yeah, it's possible, but like, I guess there's probably not much to do in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1966.
I guess not.
In 67. But the theory is that there was, some jackass hiding in the abandoned munitions plant where some of the sightings occurred and
Right.
basically like rigged up this contraption to, now whether it was just like a costume or I don't know, he figured out a way to make something fly between treetops. There's not a whole lot of information, but
people
basically,
are crafty though. When it comes to bullshit like this, people are crafty.
But you're looking back in '67 though.
Yeah, but and we'll get into this in some of our UFO sighting stuff. I mean, that's been
that's a good point. That's a good point.
But,
so yeah, people basically were like, "Oh, it's just a hoax. It's a prank. It's nothing. Don't worry about it." Which would explain basically why it was so short-lived. They were like, "All right, well, they went through one whole winter of this. Like, they're not going to do it again." So December rolled around after the Silver Bridge collapsed, and they just didn't feel like going through another winter with it, is the theory that some of the Point Pleasant residents came up with. There's also a theory that basically it's just mind games, that it's your own brain playing tricks on you, that the original people just saw something, other people caught wind of it, and then people's brains just manufactured these real life sightings from, your typical human fears being pulled from the subconscious mind. Because the Mothman legend does bear similarities to demonic creatures and, similar stories that have been around for ages and ages and ages, especially those noted in people with sleep paralysis.
Yep.
So basically it suggests that the visions are the embodiment of those fears being pulled into the conscious mind.
Sorry, that's the sound of another beer opening.
The, other very logical explanation is that it's paranormal. Aliens, UFOs.
Okay. All right.
So I'll use that as a segue for you to take over, because that's the last thing I have.
Okay, so let me dig into that one for a second. So the aliens, UFOs, let me jump ahead here because I have a couple theories in my outline before that. But, so there's this theory, and if you look it up, there's a story about Indrid Cold. Did you come across this at all?
Nope.
All right, so Indrid Cold. It was right around the time of Mothman. There was this sewing machine salesman named Woodrow Derenberger. Derenberger. So on his way home from a business trip, he saw lights on the road and he thought they were police. So he stopped. He slowed down. He stopped. He realized it was coming from a ship that was hovering about a foot off the ground. A man stepped out of the ship and spoke to Derenberger, but he didn't speak, apparently, according to the interview. And there's a recorded interview with Derenberger that I guess I can link in the YouTube description. But there's a recorded interview with Derenberger explaining all of this. But he said that it's about a 30-minute interview, too, the clip that's on YouTube, at least, that I heard. He didn't speak, but this being that came to Derenberger spoke to him through telepathy.
Okay.
So, quote, Derenberger says, he asked me to roll down the window on my right-hand side of my truck, and I done what he asked.
It's gonna be a no from me, dog. I'm driving. Hell no, I ain't rolling my window down.
This man stood there, and he first asked me what I was called. And I know he meant my name, and I told him my name, and he asked me, he said, why are you frightened? He said, don't be frightened, we wish you no harm.
We?
Yeah.
Oh, who are we?
We mean you no harm.
I was already scared when I thought it was just one.
We wish you only happiness. And I told him my name. And when I told him my name, he said he was called Cold. So Derenberger reported that to the police, and it sparked a ton of media coverage. And that's where you can see the interview. So what's crazy about this is that Derenberger, after all, the guy had nothing to gain from this.
Okay.
he lost his job. He divorced his wife, relocated to get away from all of these stories, and apparently the author Brian Dunning, who's the author of Skeptic magazine, said, quote, "Who knows what actually happened to Derenberger on that night? Derenberger's story did little for him. His obsession with what happened cost him his job and his wife, and according to Keel, who did the book Mothman Prophecies,
Yep.
who visited him a year after the fact, they found him, quote, hiding behind drawn curtains from what he believed were hundreds of UFO believers and skeptics, saying that Indrid Cold and his friends frequently visited his farm, often arriving by automobile for long, friendly chats." So this
That's
guy's
awful.
basically saying that this dude went loony, and
poor guy.
yeah. So one of the theories was that this UFO was either like looking for Mothman, or the being that Mothman is, or it was an escaped test of theirs or something like that. So very strange scenario following that one. I'm just realizing your camera here has died, I believe.
It looks like it. Yep.
Yep. All right. We'll jump on that. Let's see. So you're done on theories.
That's
now.
actually fine though, because I was gonna say I wrapped up. I don't know when that
that's
finished
true.
up, but I finished.
So you're done on
what
theories,
I
though.
To say. Yep, that was it.
So the other, I mean, one of the thoughts is this is all just mass hysteria.
Absolutely.
So, and mass hysteria is its own thing. I mean, it
takes its own life.
It does.
It really does.
It does, which is wild. So there's a creature in Native American lore, I guess, called the Thunderbird. And the Mothman is thought to be, one of the theories is that he's thought to be a descendant or related to a Thunderbird. So a Thunderbird is
not a car.
Not a car. I mean, it's a car. A nice car at that. But it is a car. But it's primarily associated with the Plains Indians. And it's also known to the Algonquin-speaking people of New England. But there's really not much known of the beliefs of New England Native Americans. But what is known is that the Thunderbird is, quote, a fearsome being and resembled a winged man or an immense bird. And it caused fear and dread and was said to actually kill and eat humans from time to time. So there's sightings, and this might be an episode for the future. I don't know. There's sightings of Thunderbird and things like that. But this is a theory that Mothman is a descendant or something of Thunderbird, which is a strange one. But what lends its hand to this maybe being accurate is that Native Americans suggest, or legends suggest, that Native Americans avoided much of the land of West Virginia because it was cursed. Because way back when, and I didn't get too much into detail because this is one of the more popular stories you can hear about the area, Chief Cornstalk, which is one of the Native American chiefs of, I don't even know what year it was, and I probably should have that detail here, but there was a clash of Native American tribes and the settlers coming in. And Cornstalk and many other tribesmen were murdered. And they cursed the land.
So it's Lord Dunmore's War in 1774.
1774. Okay,
so
this
it was
is centuries prior.
He led the Shawnees and other native warriors against the colonists in the Battle of Point Pleasant.
There you go. So the theory is that he cursed the land, and that is what drew Mothman to come to life. So yeah. there's another theory, and this is something that I think sparks a little bit more of a conversation. And I'm going to ask you what your thought is. And while you're doing that, I'm going to plug your camera in and hopefully get some battery into it so we can get a little bit more shot.
Okay.
But there is a theory, and I'm going to explain my thought here to you with this, that Mothman is a visitor from another plane of existence or realm.
That would make sense.
And the idea of this being specific is that there's a confluence of water in Point Pleasant, and that's the Kanawha River and the Ohio River. And apparently, in lore and legend, the confluence of water can open a gateway to other realms. So, what is your thought on that? Do you have a thought on that? If the answer is yes.
You mean like in terms of like, do I believe that that's a possibility or like
any of it? Yeah.
So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the reason we're doing this is because we believe that any and all of these things are possible, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we wouldn't be wasting our time on this bit of information and conversation if we didn't really think that there was something worth talking about. So yes, I do believe that, other realms are possible and that there's, I did not know that about the confluence of, the bodies of water, but sorry, I just got super distracted by you plugging that in. Sorry. No, it's okay. I just ADHD. So yeah, I was not aware of that theory. But I always kind of feel like the premonitions and, these creatures, whether they're bringing doom with them or trying to warn people about it or whatever, there has to be some sort of otherworldly knowledge of the situation in order for them to be able to give that kind of warning, right? So if the idea is that he comes from the future or whatever, and he has this insider trading knowledge about what's about to go down, it would definitely make sense why, the miners felt like he was looking out for them. And
right.
Why, he would have appeared on the bridge.
Right.
And there were pedestrians on the bridge, too. So it wasn't just cars. There were people who were walking who would have been able to potentially get off before it collapsed. There's, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. The Fukushima. There's definite disasters that occurred. So I guess the theory or the question just becomes, did he cause them or was he trying to save people? And, whatever his intentions are, that would basically be more of what would dictate how much of that theory specifically, I believe.
Right. So,
because him coming from another realm, really only makes sense if he's trying to be helpful. Why go back? Why go back and try to change the course of events if...
And this might be a conversation for more of... I had an idea for an episode of... which is an awesome article that I found. Cryptids...
Yes.
...that turned out to be actual animals.
Yes.
So...
I saw
there's many cryptids out there, obviously, that still are not proven, which is why they're in the category that they are. The one theory that continues this one that we just talked about is, as far as plane of existence, and some of you might be thinking, I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably, I'm sure you have your own thought on planes of existence and coming in and out of realms and things like that. But so the theory that was suggested in the one documentary I watched, which I had actually never heard before, and I'm interested. I mentioned to you the other night, I heard this crazy theory that I think is really cool, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay.
So, these creatures that we're seeing, and again, this is going to be a deeper conversation in a later episode, I think. Creatures that we see, like Mothman, Bigfoot, ghosts, for that matter.
Yep.
What if these are beings that have somehow found a way to utilize waves of vision that we can't see, like ultraviolet light, and there's light waves we can't see, there's sound waves we can't hear as humans. What if they found a way to basically hide themselves using these waves, but occasionally there's a glitch in it?
Like an invisibility cloak.
Essentially, like a blanket of ultraviolet light that we can't see through.
But then there's like a chink in the armor.
Exactly.
Okay.
And occasionally you get a glimpse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that idea. And obviously, you know, being in...
This is a teaser for an episode because I really do... Like, I love this conversation. I think it's going to be a really good one.
This is going to be cool.
But this is a teaser.
You know, I won't get too heavy into that then, since we're going to kind of make that a separate thing. But you know how I feel about most things. So being in healthcare, I have very much a scientific mind. There are certain things that are just true. They just are. There's proof. And, you know, this is not to get into religion or theology in any capacity, but I 1000% believe in evolution. I always will. I will die on that hill. I don't care who you are, what you believe in, what you say. You're never going to change my mind. Doesn't matter.
But it'd be great to have a conversation.
I am absolutely open to the conversation.
If anybody wants to come on and have that conversation,
wants to have a conversation with me,
if you can have a mature conversation.
I support you and I will respect you, and I expect the same from you. But where I stand on it is never going to change. So there's just too much to support the idea. So if you look at it from that perspective and how evolved we are now, some of us, compared to, you know, the cavemen, and we can now use a computer where, like,
for the most part,
most of us anyway. Sorry, Mom, that wasn't a dig at you. But do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Just even in terms of our own evolution, there have been so many changes. I mean, even in our lifespan, there have been things that we just see and are aware of and have tethered to us at any given time, like a cell phone. It's basically a computer in a pocket that does a shitload more than a computer that used to take up an entire room. Yeah. So
it's a lot more
we
than
have
your
found
TI
ways.
83 plus.
Don't knock my calculator. I love that little bastard. But we've come so far in just a short period of time, just in our lifetimes so far, that we've been able to utilize things in ways that are light years above where we were before. So the idea that somebody who's passed on or just has access to different things that we just don't have. I always say, you don't know what you don't know. So before you even know that there's anything out there that you should be digging into or that you could potentially be digging into, you have no idea how to then use that information that you may or may not stumble upon. So the fact that somebody else may have some classified information about how to use ultraviolet rays to disguise themselves, I hope it's true. That's cool as hell.
Right. I think it's
I want it to be true. I think that's amazing. And
we'll dig into this much more in a further
think
episode.
Think about what that could do for you. Like,
oh, I know. I don't know what episode to mesh this into. It might be its own, but yeah, there's a ton of stuff.
This feels like a Big Brother. Big Brother's watching you kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, think about how much that could be used for good too.
It won't.
No.
But yeah.
I mean,
it could.
I'd like to
Robert
have
Downey Jr. truly takes over his role as Iron Man.
But yeah, I think it's true. I think it could be anyway.
Yes. So
I don't know enough about it to say one way or the other.
We're going to do some research.
But I would love for that to be an episode. I think that would be really
episode.
cool. cute little callback to this episode.
It'll be a great episode. So let me ask you this.
Yes.
Mothman.
Yes.
What is your theory?
I don't think there's one Mothman.
Multiple.
I think just,
Mothmen.
Mothman. I'd be willing to bet that this is not just one creature. Like you said, what if they, the always they, found a way to communicate with us and utilize certain things to I don't know, like get away behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So
are you thinking it's
I think it's like a species.
Alien-like?
I think it's a species. So I don't think it's just a
species that has not yet been discovered.
Possibly.
Type of idea.
Maybe he came from that sinkhole in China.
Another one. We're just alluding to a ton of different episodes in this one.
No, but I mean it though. I think that there's too much that we don't know. There are depths of the ocean we've never been to. There's other planets we've never been to.
I agree.
There's parts of our own world that we're not aware of on any given time frame. Like there's a sinkhole on the other side of the world that contains life forms and trees, for Christ's sake. Like an entire underground ecosystem that we've never ever known existed, but was very clearly
it's there,
home to things.
It's there.
So I think it's less likely that it's not a separate species.
Yeah.
I just think with all the different sightings and all the different potentials and all the different parts of the world and the fact that it could span continents and decades. And I just think it can't be just one.
So it's not.
I also
don't
think Bigfoot's just one either. But
it's not. Yeah. Well, we're gonna again. That's another one. We're just pounding away.
Well, it's just right now. We gotta keep them coming back for more.
Keep them coming back. Hit that smash that subscribe button.
Little nuggets.
Smash the subscribe button. But no, I do think that my theory on it is kind of a mixture. I think that maybe there's an existence of Mothman.
A singular Mothman?
Stemming back to the origin of...
the OG.
66.
Got it.
But I think that it's hard to decipher now because the town has gotten so wrapped up in its own self-made lore of Mothman.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, but I do think that potentially there is one or two that have been in existence. Maybe there's been more since then. I don't know what the lifespan would be, but I do think it could potentially be an actual creature. And this is something again. There's a cryptid episode that we are gonna need to do.
I can't wait
because it's actually unbelievable. Some of the animals that I know that that used to be cryptids and are well known in zoos animals now.
So just because I feel like the term cryptid is fairly new to me, just for the listeners. What is a cryptid? What's a definition? What are we talking about here?
Definition. I mean, you can look it up easier on your computer than I can.
I didn't know if you had like a
I don't have an actual definition of it. But we're gonna be running into this. But basically the idea is a cryptid is a. I'll give you.
Do you want me?
You look it up.
Okay, so do you want me to? I'll give you the definition. You want to give an example?
Yes.
Okay, so cryptids are animals that cryptozoologists believe may exist somewhere in the world.
Somewhere.
But are not believed to exist by mainstream science.
Okay. So mainstream science can't prove that they're existing.
Right. So cryptozoology is a pseudoscience, according to this, which primarily looks at anecdotal stories and other claims rejected by the true science community.
So an animal that used to be a cryptid, and I'm going to just, again, give a sneak peek here to a future episode. An animal that used to be a cryptid, a gorilla.
What?
They never knew that gorillas existed, but they spoke of them as man-like, hairy, large creatures who had insane strength. And they were cryptids. And now they're in every single zoo.
Interesting.
Yes. So that is going to be a future episode.
So
we can't get into this anymore right now.
No. So examples of current cryptids are like Bigfoot.
Yes.
The Chupacabra, Jersey Devil, Loch Ness, that kind of business. So it's things that like, maybe not.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe not. Maybe fuck not. Yourself.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right. I guess like unicorns and dragons would fall into that too, maybe.
Dragons is another episode.
I know. I had to just.
I don't know about unicorns. Maybe
dangle the carrot.
Look into them. Give it the dangle. But all right, we got to stop it there because we're getting into way too much. Yeah. We're getting way too lengthy on this one. This has been an awesome one. Your camera turned off again, and I apologize for that.
I think it's just that janky setup you have with
It's fine. It's done. It's an old cell phone. We're using old cameras, old cell phones for our cameras. Except for the main one, which has both of us on it, which you see right there. But this one, that one.
I'm taking a picture of that.
Oh, I already took one.
Of the camera?
Yeah. I took the setup. It's a good setup.
There's a rubber band. So for those of you listening.
It's a cost-effective setup.
It's highly inefficient.
We got to roll.
There's a rubber band tied around the actual plug part of the charger and then looped around the back side of the phone and around the corner of it.
Because how many of you out there had that one cell phone that you had to have your charger plugged in a very specific way?
Is this my old
for it to charge? It's mine.
Or yours? Are you sure?
But yeah, this one's
This is the one you dropped off the end table like 42 times.
But you have to have the charger plugged in a very specific way, and I have a.
It's a very delicate process.
Holding it that way is a delicate process, exactly.
Yes.
Anyway, we gotta call it at that. We're at like an hour and a half, maybe more. We gotta call it at that. We are gonna hit it with our next episode. Don't know exactly what that's gonna be yet. We have throw
some suggestions at us.
Exactly. Hit us on the social media stuff.
I think I know what I want to do next, though.
So we have, I don't know what I just broke over here. Something just made a pretty loud bang. But subscribe on the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Follow us on Instagram. Again, links are going to be everywhere, all over everything you're listening to. We are now actually on Amazon Music, Audible, Google Podcast, soon to be Apple Podcast. We're
Anchor.
We're
Spotify.
Kind of spreading ourselves. Yep, we're on Spotify.
And we're going to have a Facebook page soon
Google, too. Yeah, we're going to have Facebook. We got our voicemail, our hotline.
Stop calling it that.
It's going to be every time.
Seriously, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
267-450-9448. Leave a message. Text us. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Let us know some theories that you have. We got some great suggestions so far.
Yes. Shout out Maggie because you're killing it on the suggestions. And thank you for being an awesome listener.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm loving the engagement so far.
Yes,
so please,
thank you.
Please let us know what you think.
Hit us on Instagram, A Toast to the Atypical. Email us, atoast2 to the atypical @gmail.com. YouTube, voicemail, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Google Podcasts. We're getting out there. So
and soon to be Facebook too. So hit us up on there too. I'll be monitoring that.
And you know what? Shout out to also our neighbors in New Jersey. We have a podcast in New Jersey that
fellow weirdos.
We've been loving their stuff. They've been out for a little bit longer than us.
A smidge ahead of us, yeah.
Longer than us. Conspiracy Happy Hour. They're awesome.
So fun.
Check out their stuff. Check them out on my Instagram.
Yes.
They have some really cool stuff going on too. So maybe in the future we can do some sort of collab
That'd be fun.
with them, which would be cool.
Maybe we could do like a Jersey Devil with them.
Maybe we do that would be a fun
because they're from
one.
Jersey, right?
Yeah.
That would be cool. Maybe we can link up with them and do a Jersey Devil episode.
That would be fun.
If y'all are listening, let us know. Or if you haven't already done it, or if you have other ideas, we're open to whatever.
Yeah, they have some cool episodes though. I just watched their episode or listened to their episode about the Titanic, which was really cool.
Love.
Yeah. So there's some cool
good.
theories about that. But anyway, we gotta
wrap it up, guys.
We're taking way too much of your time. Appreciate you guys listening. Thank you so much. And again, I guess for this week, do you have much drink left?
I do. I'm good. Okay. I have enough for a toast.
A toast.
To the Atypical.